Hey, Chris Liepe here with Teenagers, My Chemical Romance, Gerard Way, the Studio Multitracks or STEMs, and I recently had the opportunity to see these guys live. They reached out to me after the video I did on the Black Parade and invited me to a concert. So cool. So I got to see them live. Gerard Way was absolutely amazing. So I've got footage from Teenagers, the one that they performed while I was watching them live, and the Studio Multitracks. And we're going to go back and forth a little bit and compare and contrast Gerard's live approach with his studio approach. This is going to be super fun because for us as vocalists, there are key elements that we can take away from how Gerard does things in the studio versus live. It's all extremely useful if you're looking to further your craft in studio performance and live performance. And even if you're not, it's just really fun to see. If you'd like more help with your own voice and dialing in some of the sounds you hear me make and you hear Gerard make as we go through these tracks, click the link below and join my free course. Let's start with some isolated guitar sounds. Notice that there is a lot of reverb. Hopefully you're listening in headphones, but on the right side, it is more reverb focused. And on the left side, listen carefully, it's very dry on the left side and very wet on the right side. This helps that single performance of the guitar feel wide and get it out of the way of the vocals. It can be panned over to one side, at least the direct, while still maintaining a good image, a good consistent image. Listen when we put the vocals in.
Make a citizen out of you because they sleep with a gun and keep an eye on you.
It sounds nice and balanced, even though there's only one performance, and it's out of the way of the vocals. Super, super key production technique here. Now listen, we have a doubled guitar come in. But very, very differently performed. It goes in and out like this. So you have that reverb kicking in, or at least you recognize the wideness because of the reverb, and then you have the dry sound of that alternate performance or that extra performance on the right side. Super, super cool and great way to build the song. You can hear that the dry sound from the octaves is primarily on the right side, and the thick rhythm dry is on the left side. And then they've taken the reverbs and they've crossed them. So you get both dry and wet. You get both articulation and wideness and fullness. Let's take a listen to the solo isolated. Again, super articulate. You've got that dry sound in the center. You've got the reverb spread out a bit. It's wonderful to hear this level of imaging with these isolated tracks. Some drums. Interesting. Kicking cymbals, snaring cymbals. Clearly the verse. Yeah. Super consistently played. Check out this fill. Percussion.
So bleed, so dark in your clothes.
Yeah. Bass. Now let's get into these vocals. Keep in mind, as I go back and forth between the studio and live approaches, character. Gerard is a master of character development in his singing.
They're gonna clean up your looks with all the lies in the books to make a citizen out of you.
Listen to the quiver in his voice. You, citizen out of you. That's not really vibrato as much as it is this holding back of air and this pent up, sort of inconsistent compression. But you also hear on books.
All the lies in the books.
Lies in the books. Hear the closing on B, or just before B. Lies in the books, lies in them books. There's this sense that he's pulling back, almost like he's doing this. Citizen out of you. Not citizen out of you. That's part of this character that then erupts when we hit to the chorus.
Because they sleep with a gun and keep an eye on you, son, so they can watch all the things you do.
It gets louder here.
So they can watch all the things you do.
Unbridled.
Because the drugs never work, they gonna give you a smirk, 'cause they got methods of keeping you clean.
Oh, you hear that quiver again on clean.
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 They're gonna rip up your heads, your aspirations to shreds. Another cog in the murder machine.
Okay, let's talk about a few things here. First of all, his approach as he goes to that high note is incredible. We're going to unpack that a little.
They're gonna rip up your heads, your aspirations to shreds.
Your aspirations to shreds. There's the notes, but that's not his approach at all. It's interesting, when I listen to this version versus the version that he does live, there's a clue as to how he hits those notes so well, and it has to do with sigh. They're gonna rip up your heads, your aspirations to shreds. That would be reaching for that note. He doesn't, though. It's gritty, and in the live version, you can hear him almost releasing or sighing into that high note. Yar! 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 Ah, your aspirations to shreds! Did you hear it? It's broken up, it's desperate sounding, it's also aggressive. That's very different than this. Your aspirations to shreds! That sounds squeezed and forced. But his approach, and you can see it and hear it much more clearly live. Now, yes, live they even dropped it a little bit in terms of key, which is totally normal and expected for lots of these guys. I mean, Brendan Urie is a perfect example of someone who has an incredible voice, but because of vocal budgeting, because they're out on tour, they lower things a little bit to keep it easier on the vocalist to get through a whole set. But he maintains character and approach even though the key is lower, and gives away how he gets those notes so girthy and so full of resonance and character.
Another cog in the murder machine. They said I'll teenagers scare the living out of me. They could care less as long as someone will bleed.
Yeah, the edited version. It's all I could get, because these are originally from the Guitar Hero or Rock Band video game.
Teenagers scare the living out of me.
Dumb.
They could care less as long as someone will bleed. So darken your clothes or strike a violent pose. Maybe to leave you alone, but not me.
The group vocals there, clearly some of Gerard, but other members of the band joining in to get that variety gang vocal-oriented sound. Here's a killer chorus live. His movements come out in his voice. His performance and his tone are one. The other thing I want to point out about these gang vocals is listen to how loose they are.
So darken your clothes or strike a violent pose. Maybe the
pose. That sound back there is, I mean, it's nowhere near like calculated. They wanted this floppy sound. That's what gets this sort of, ironically, unified, agreeable sound out of the vocals, is the fact that it's floppier.
leave you alone, but not me. The boys and girls in the clique, the awful names at the stick. You're never gonna fit in much, kid.
Listen to the exhales. I love that about his voice.
Boys and girls in the clique, the
Click, click. Mark of a well-engaged vocalist who has plenty of good breath support.
click, the awful names at the stick. You're never gonna fit in much, kid.
Much, kid. Lots of good use of compression there.
But if you're troubled and hurt, what you got under your shirt will make them pay for the things that they did.
Okay, now here's that sigh coming in again, and it's more obvious here than ever.
We'll make them pay for the things that they did.
This is not, we'll make them pay for the things that they did. No, he's got this almost exasperated sound. We'll make them pay for the things that they did. Now I'm going way overboard there, and I've lost the pitch some, but you have to go there with your voice. Don't be so concerned about hitting the pitches that you end up being this sterile choir boy. Listen to what he's doing.
We'll make them pay for the things that they did.
Things that they did. This is so key. He's abandoning into this line. Oh, that is the character. And then his voice is almost coming in behind that. Pitch and the rest of the delivery is totally secondary to this exasperated sigh that's happening. And the grit, the false chord engagement that you hear comes as a result of pursuing the character.
You're never gonna fit in much, kid.
Yeah.
But if you're troubled and hurt, what you gotta do is we'll make them pay for the things that they did. They said,
Pay for the things! Now there, you can hear him take a slightly different approach. Still based off of the sigh, but it's like he captured the sigh. We'll make them pay for the things that they, really dug into it.
they set out. Teenagers scare the living out of me. They could care less as long as someone will bleed. So darken your clothes, I'll strike a violent pose. Maybe to leave you alone, but not me. Whoa, yeah.
Whoa, yeah! Lots of sigh there as well. That exasperated character. Now listen to this part.
Did they set out?
They said, oh! That is doubled. They started doubling before they started the harmony, which is really cool from a production standpoint. But listen to how he does those vowels and how they said, oh! That's not just, they said, oh! Think about your typical karaoke singer who would sing this, right? They said, oh! Right? They would be so straight with it, trying to get the notes. But he's just, they said, oh, vomiting the words and sighing through the notes. It's so ugly, yet so pretty, too. And kind of a neat Easter egg here.
So darken your clothes, I'll strike a violent pose. Maybe
Pose. Listen to that sound right here.
Violet post, maybe
Now listen to the other chorus.
a violet post, maybe.
They flew those background vocals from chorus to chorus. It's the same guy doing the same articulation, and it's the same. It's not different versions of the same line. It really does sound like they flew those, which is another very common production technique. You get a good sound off the first gang vocal, and you perform the lead vocals differently every chorus. But if you're performing to a click or close enough, you can very easily take those and move them to a different chorus.
Whoa, yeah!
Well, yeah! I mean, moving that placement around like crazy, and then again, sighing. I'm using that word a ton. That exasperated teenager is exactly what he is embodying here in this song.
They said I'll teenager scare the living out of me. They could care less as long as someone will bleed. So darken your clothes, I'll strike a violet post. Maybe they'll leave you alone, but not me.
There's that background vocal that you can hear again.
Could care less as long as someone will bleed. So darken your clothes, I'll strike a violet post. Maybe they'll leave you alone, but not me. Wow, teenagers scare the living out of me. They could care less as long as someone will bleed. So darken your clothes, I'll strike a violet post. Maybe they'll leave you alone, but not me.
And the band taking us out live. You can still hear how forward everything is. You can almost see it and hear it better. He had this really cool group of distortion boxes up around his mic, and every once in a while he'd touch one and he was in control of his own vocal effects. Thanks for watching and unpacking with me and listening to me make stupid sounds as I get to the root of how Gerard Way works as a vocalist. And in the context of two different settings. Super fun to hear both the isolated tracks and a recent live show that I was actually at. Again, for more help with your voice, click that link below, join my free course. We'll see you for more.